Hello silver friends, this is Joli from QuickSilverHair, and today's video is my 5 tips to help you with dry, brittle ends. It is winter in Northern Hemisphere and we are having a brutal one in North America. It has been so cold and so windy and so bitter. I know that many of us have cranked up the heaters. I'm experiencing dry eye, my skin is dry, my hair is dry, so I thought it was a perfect time to discuss this topic. So before we get started, I want to say Happy New Year, welcome to 2023. As you can see, I'm sitting in a new location in my office. I'm so excited about this. Over the Christmas break, my husband and I kind of did some reorganizing so that I could have a dedicated filming studio in my office. This space used to be dedicated to my art studio, and because I have done so much with video, my creative side is really being fed by making videos and editing them, and I was really not doing any artwork, so I thought, you know what, it's time for me to dedicate that space to something that I am doing all the time. One issue I had in 2022 was that I was filming from my desk. I had to clear off my desk, set up camera. I was filming in that location because the sun shone in through the window very nicely. In the wintertime, that is not so great because it is a western window. The sun fades really rapidly in the afternoons and it gets really warm. So I was combating a lot of issues that were becoming very frustrating. So I decided that it was time to have a dedicated space so that I could take that thought, that work, that extra off my plate. Anyway, I hope you like the new space and let's get to the video. So my first tip for fighting dry, brittle ends is to evaluate whether or not you need a haircut. You want to look at your ends with your stylist or on your own, and you want to get them, kind of up in a bright light. I like to, fan them out like that in front of a bright light, which I'm filming at night right now, so there's plenty of lights on. And I can kind of look through them. I don't see any splits. I don't see any unevenness. I don't see any breakage, which is great because I haven't cut my hair since September, and it's time for a haircut. As you can see, my hair is really weighed down and not a lot of curl pattern. It's time for me to have a trim. However, it's not due to split ends or breakage. They are looking pretty good. But you want to look at your hair like that, and if you do notice any split ends or breakage, you want to cut above the point of that damage. So you want to find, kind of the last grouping of it and cut above that point. So that could be 1 inch or 2 inches or whatever. But the reason you want to cut above the point of the split ends and breakage is once you have split ends and they start splitting, it's kind of like a frayed rope. They're just going to keep fraying until you cut them off at the source, so to speak. It's just going to be a continual problem and it'll creep up the hair shaft. So don't avoid a haircut if you have split ends, because the real way to get rid of them is to cut them off. So trimming your hair when you want long hair is actually better for the health of your hair overall, and it actually does help you grow your hair longer. So just a little side tip there. Tip number 2 is to look at your product lineup. Check out your products and see how much protein you have in your product. If all of your hair feels particularly straw-like, brittle, it's breaking really easy, it just feels really dry, you might have protein overload. This means it's time for clarifying, and it's time to look at your products and make sure that you are not using too many proteins or the wrong kind of proteins for your hair type. Silver hair tends to be on the drier side. It tends to be a little thirstier. The cuticle is raised a little bit, so it does need a little bit of protein. But in general, if you're not damaging your hair with sun and high heat, you probably don't have anything more than medium porosity hair. So that kind of means you probably need the smaller side of the proteins. So below, I'm going to link a post on ingredients, and in that post is all of the proteins that are used in hair care, or most of them, and their sizes. So if you have lower porosity hair or fine hair, you want smaller proteins. This is like amino acids. If you have coarser hair or you have higher porosity hair, you want slightly larger proteins to fill in those gaps. Larger proteins are keratins, wheat protein, silk, etc. So, look at your products, see if you're getting too much protein or the wrong kind of protein, because I often see that if it's really dry and really brittle, it's either protein overload or it's bond builder overload, which the bond builders also contain quite a bit of protein. So it's kind of hard to tell, like, is it the protein in the bond builder that's causing this issue, or is it the bond builder itself? I have a post on bond builders that is also linked below. So my third tip is, if you're noticing that straw-like feel, or if it's feeling really dry all the time, or even if it's not, because you have silver hair and if you have curly hair, you want to add deep conditioning to your routine on the regular. Even if you don't have dry hair yet, this will stop you from getting dry hair because you're treating the problem before it exists, which, we can all do that. So couple of things to keep in mind with deep conditioner. Strengthening deep conditioner often contains loads of proteins because proteins strengthen. So strengthening products usually have protein in them. So you want to make sure that your deep conditioner is low protein, has amino acids like 𝐜𝐤𝐻𝐵 conditioner, which I love, or no protein whatsoever, which would be something that is highly moisturizing. I tend to go for highly moisturizing in the winter months because it is colder, drier, and harsher where I live. And in the summertime, I can handle a little bit of protein in my deep conditioner. And I don't have to deep condition as often because of our blasts from monsoon season and the rapidly changing humidity in our environment. So I don't find in the summertime that I need to deep condition as often. However, flip that however you need to for wherever you live. If you live in a dry climate, deep condition with moisturizing deep conditioner whenever you need to. If you live in a really humid environment, you may find that you don't need to deep condition very often, but you have to just kind of weigh that out and see how it feels for you. My fourth tip is, don't use neat oils as conditioning treatments. I want you to think of it this way. If you're thirsty, you're not going to drink a gallon of oil. You're going to drink water. Your hair contains water. It needs water. It needs moisture balance. Moisture is water. Hydration is balance. Conditioning helps to balance all that out and to keep the proper ratios where they should be. When you are using no conditioner whatsoever, you are probably leaving your hair susceptible to more breakage, no matter whether you have straight hair or curly hair. Deep conditioning, conditioner, period, will help. But oil does not help with that. There are some oils that have a really lovely fatty acid profile, and they are used in combination in conditioners to help with manageability, softness, sealing the cuticle, etc. But think about that. They're used for manageability and sealing the cuticle. So when you're using oils, you think of them as a styling aid to seal in the moisture that you've already provided to your hair. For instance, I love to take an oil and put it on my ends to protect my ends after they have dried. So after my hair is dry, I often break the cast or scrunch out the crunch with an oil on my hands. The oil acts as slip so I don't cause frizz, and then it also seals my hair. So a note on coconut oil. I know a lot of you are already arguing with me because you're like, yes, but I love my coconut oil. The thing about coconut oil is it is solid at room temperature, which means that if you leave it on your hair, coating the hair, from end to end, it is going to become solid at some point. It is going to block moisture from escaping and entering the hair. So it kind of puts it in this stasis, so to speak. I have a post on coconut oil. I will link it below. There is a correct way to use coconut oil for a treatment for your hair, and that is pre-shampoo. So you want to coat your hair with coconut oil about 15 minutes to an hour before you take a shower or shampoo your hair. Then follow that coconut oil with shampoo. This creates a really nice protein moisture balance, and it is perfect for that and scientifically proven to do that. That is the right way to do coconut oil. Using coconut oil as a deep conditioning treatment though, and then expecting your hair to be conditioned and feeling moisturized and lovely afterwards, you may find that that's very disappointing, and over time you may be causing it to just get drier because you aren't providing that proper conditioning to the hair. So be really careful with your oils and how you use them and the place in your style routine that you use them. My final tip is reduce mechanical damage. So mechanical damage comes from several different things. One is, traction from ponytails, from buns. That's traction mechanical damage, where you're pulling on the hair. You can also cause mechanical damage from brushing and combing. You want to be really gentle with how hard you brush your hair. You don't want to just yank through your hair. I was taught by a stylist many years ago to start brushing my hair from the tips and work my way up. And it makes sense because the loose ends are already starting to come to that point, right? It's just naturally pulling them through. But when you yank from the roots down, you are pushing the loose hair into a wad that turns into quite the tangle at the midsection. If you work from the bottom up, you're pulling those hairs out and you can work all your way up and then brush from the top down after all those tangles are gone, which is actually good for your hair because you're distributing the natural oils that your hair makes or that your scalp makes to protect your hair. So that's actually really good. Avoid brushing or combing your hair when it's wet if you have straight hair. If you have curly hair, this is probably the best time to comb or brush your hair. But always make sure you're using a slippery conditioner to help get your fingers, your comb, your brush through your hair without snapping and breaking the hair, because when your hair is wet, it stretches and breaks, and that is the time your hair is the most vulnerable. The next thing in mechanical to be aware of is your environment. Are you using a blow dryer on high speed on a hot setting? Are you a horseback rider? Are you a motorcycle rider? Are you out in the wind all the time, maybe with your job or just your lifestyle or where you live? Those things can all cause mechanical damage, and I would highly suggest with the blow dryer, turn the speed down, turn the heat down. With your outdoor activities, wear protective hairstyles. Make sure that with your protective style for outdoor activities, you have a leave-in conditioner in your hair that will help keep some moisture in your hair and help keep it from drying out and causing more breakage over time. The other thing to consider is a silk pillowcase and a microfiber towel. You want a smooth microfiber towel. I have one from the Perfect Hair Care, and I love that towel because it is sort of like a silky type microfiber, and I find that it helps to prevent any kind of breakage from a towel. Terry cloth towels and cotton towels have a loop in the fiber, and that loop actually pulls tangles with the hair and causes breakage. Your silk pillowcase will be something that you won't regret buying, I promise, as long as you buy 100% real silk, and I have a post on that, I'll link it below. If you're buying silk pillowcases and using them, they are proven to help with moisture retention for your hair and your skin, so that's excellent. And it feels really nice to sleep on a silk pillowcase, or at least I feel that it does. So that's it for this video. I hope I've been helpful to you. Everything that I have discussed and any relevant links will be listed below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so now. I would love to see you next time, and until then, shine on.